Hello, everyone. Welcome to LexTalk World Talk Show presented by Clickaway Creators. Today, we have Mr. Anthony Wong with us. Mr. Wong is the Senior Director and Associate General Counsel at Informatica. From software applications to technology consulting and now cloud modernization, he has developed significant experience negotiating multi-million dollar transactions, helping enterprises and government organizations advance their technology investments. And he's, of course, a techie by heart. So we'll go deeper and learn about his professional and personal journey. So without further ado, let's welcome him. Hello, Mr. Wong. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me, Sagan.
Pleasure's all ours, sir. Thank you very much for getting some time out of a busy schedule for us today. As I said, Mr. Wong, I tried my level best to cover things about you, but it's just not possible. So let's dwell down into your journey. But my first question in that would be, why a lawyer? Why law? What motivated you to become a lawyer?
It's a really good question, and I suppose the answer to that would be my parents. Actually, they inspired me. They encouraged me to actually take up a career in law, but they also encouraged me to actually consider medicine and also architecture as well. So I had very traditional parents in my upbringing as well, like many of us. I had a passion for all three careers, and equally, my passion for all three of them, it made my decision to actually choose law very, very difficult. So what I did was actually go through a process of elimination. So when I considered medicine, I found out that I had a very squeamish stomach and I couldn't handle the sight of blood. And so that was an easy decision to actually tick off the list. Architecture, I had a passion for buildings. Unfortunately, I don't have a skill in actually drawing and sketching, nor actually building models as well. So that was easily taken out. So what was left was really a career in law. And what had drawn me to law was really about problem solving and dealing with people's problems in real life situations, and then taking a lot of personal satisfaction in actually solving those problems for them as well.
I mean, all the reasons for becoming a lawyer. I would also love to understand what is the key practice area that you have. I mean, being a senior counsel in Informatica and being the director there. What are your key practice areas? If you can guide our viewers through that.
Sure. So the organization I work for, they're specializing in cloud services and data management and helping a lot of our customers making sense of their data. And it can come from different sources. And there's just such vast amounts of data that it's very difficult for organizations to make heads or tails of it. So what we do in my job is actually helping customers understand what our services can do for them, but also address any of their key legal concerns. As you know, we're working. Today's society, it's a very fast-paced environment, and one of the key concerns for many organizations is actually data security and privacy. So we often have those discussions with customers about to address their concerns when actually dealing with their customer data as well.
That's wonderful. Lovely to hear that. I would want to also dwell down into what it takes to become a good in-house counselor. We'll talk about that. But I would sort of rephrase it from an industry standpoint as well.
Sure.
Because I understand that an in-house counselor learns things from the very grassroots of it, up to the leaves and the fruits of it. So, what would be your over suggestions and plans for a complete development of the industry?
Sure. I can only speak on on my behalf and the experiences that I've gone through in terms of the lessons learned during my legal career that I've pursued. One of the things I can sort of recommend to legal practitioners is to keep an eye on the big picture and never lose focus of that. When I went through the early stages of my career, as many passionate legal practitioners, you want to win every single negotiation point in a settlement or in a transaction negotiation, and it was very difficult to actually let even the smallest things go as well. So for me, as I developed during my legal career, I gathered more experience and insight in terms of understanding at what cost does it mean to either your client or also your employer if you're going to try and win every single point. It could also mean that as a repercussion that maybe a merger is actually derailed because you couldn't actually find a win-win situation. Similarly, if you're embarking on a customer vendor sort of experience and negotiating a customer contract as well, do you really want to negotiate and win every single point, no matter how how minute that point may be, at the cost of embarking on a journey with a customer on the back foot and affecting the long-term relationship of that as well. So, the lesson is really about identifying what are the key fundamental concerns on each side and what are the nice to haves, and focusing on those key concerns that are essential, so that you can find that compromise. Essentially, it's a negotiation, right? So you kind of expect that you're not going to be winning every single point in order to actually find a win-win situation.
That is very right. I also wanted to ask you, something that is going on around the globe. We all, I mean, my side of the world, I'm in India right now, so we see a lot of the attrition rate is touching its new heights when it comes to especially the tech industry.
Yeah.
We have data from the top organizations, the Fortune 500s, or in fact the top organizations in India. Let's say there are some big organizations. I don't want to name them, but and there it's 20 to 25%. And if you talk about some of the startups, it may be it is sometimes it's touching more than 50%. So what is your advice, or what advice would you give to general counsels on retaining good talent, or rather a talent, I would say first?
It's a really good question, and I think it's on the minds of every single general counsel or team leader, really, about how to retain really good talent. And let's face it, we work long hours sometimes, and we run the risk of actually having burnout for a lot of our team members as well. And really, it's about how do we address those key areas as well. So for me, I guess what I try to do, a key step in actually retaining good talent, is to listen really about what are the key motivators for each of the team members as well. Firstly, it demonstrates that you are that you consider them as valuable employees as well, establishing that communication link with them. Secondly, if you're able to actually understand the key motivational factors for each of the employees, remembering that each person is an individual, and what drives that person might be very different to another person as well. An example would be, a person is actually very comfortable where they are, but what they're concerned about is actually more of a work-life balance as well. Other areas maybe for motivational factors is not really about promotions, but more in tune to what can that person do to actually become a well-rounded legal counsel. So they want to actually broaden their legal knowledge and experience as well. And of course, there are some that actually want to become people managers as well. So when you understand each individual's motivational factors, then you can actually go to the next step of tailoring a work environment that would help, drive performance out of that person as well. A couple of things that we do at Informatica is looking at, and this is also adopted by many other organizations as well, is how do we develop a person's legal based knowledge as well. And we have various areas. We have commercial counsels, we have employment lawyers, we have privacy lawyers, many areas as well. And so we allow for an activity or an approach where we allow the employees to take maybe a short period of time, maybe a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, to go on to comment in a different department to actually develop their legal knowledge and experience. And that also opens up an opportunity for them to consider other areas of law within the organization as well. So it's not necessarily about promising someone that, if you stick with us for a certain period of time, you'll be promoted as well. Of course, everyone would love to do that, but we have many organizations have constraints and adopt a very flat organizational structure as well. But thinking laterally certainly helps to build that rapport and that development of that individual, as well as hoping to retain good talent as well.
So what you're basically saying is, while organizations are now trying to become more customer centric, more personalized to a customer, that also, it has to also be implemented inside the organization. We have to become more individual employee centric as well, as you said, understanding individuals' motivation, what's the drive for them basically.
Yeah.
I also want to add, I actually want to add a question to this so that it will also sort of back things about it. There are a lot of lessons that one learn while he's associated with a single organization for a good period of time. I would say I've seen this happening, and I've had a word with a lot of lawyers in-house counsels, and they mentioned this. So I'm going to talk about the challenges of being an in-house counselor, and I'm going to talk about the lessons that you have learned. So my question first is, what are the key lessons that you have enriched, that actually have enriched you? I'm sorry, that have enriched you and are currently aiding you in your current work?
So probably one of the areas is development and exposure for different areas and different geographies as well. So one of the key challenges that I foresee as we become increasingly exposed to global organizations and different geographies as well is handling different matters around the region as well. So many of us work in multinational organizations, and we are responsible for various legal matters in many countries as well. So I believe that a lot of the challenges is firstly keeping abreast of the various legal changes going on around the world, and how do we actually keep up with that? Then secondly is, as we deal with different individuals around the world, what would be beneficial is having a really good base of EQ as well. So emotional intelligence, because dealing in one particular country may warrant a particular style, whereas actually another country might be very, very different as well in terms of approach and dealing with certain matters as well. I think we can all become very good lawyers, but the difference between becoming between a good lawyer and perhaps a fantastic lawyer is probably the ability to have good EQ as well. So understanding the other opposing counsel's frame of mind, their thought process as well, due to perhaps cultural differences, would certainly help in terms of achieving a successful outcome as well.
Mr. Wong, do you, I mean, to a sort of, not sort of a follow-up question on this, but for young in-house counsels, that are sort of trying to make their space in the industry, what would you suggest to them?
Yeah. So coming back to, I suppose, what we do at Informatica and many other organizations around the world is helping to develop their careers and providing a positive learning environment as well. I know that this may not necessarily work for other organizations, but how I lead my team is that we have lawyers located in different parts of the world, but we share the region, the Asia Pacific region as a whole. And so no one, even though I may be located in Singapore, I'm not pigeonholed to actually only handle Singapore matters as well. Similar as my team in Sydney and in Tokyo and also in India as well. By having that exposure, it allows them to understand and different cultures, different laws, but also it helps them become a much more well-rounded lawyer for the next phase in their career as well. And so that they will be able to demonstrate that they understand and have experience working on matters in, say, for instance, in Indonesia or Malaysia, India, Japan as well. And we'd like to cater that to help our team develop that way.
Mr. Wang, so far this has been a lovely session, but I still have two more questions if you allow me to go with it. First is my personally favorite question. Whenever I read about someone who's a tech enthusiast, I always want to understand what solely drove them towards technology. You see, from software applications to cloud. So it seems like you have traveled your way long. I want to
Yeah.
understand why the tech side of the legal industry.
That's a really good question. Now, I guess the part of the reason is when you're in a tech company and supporting various different industries, I suppose I've always been a sponge for learning about different things. Not only does the technology actually satisfy my hunger for understanding new technology and how it works, but being in a technology industry and supporting various industries allows me to understand, banks, insurance companies, the way that they work, hotels, electricity and utilities companies as well. And that's the one thing that I have always valued being in the technology industry is that you're not pigeonholed to only one particular industry. Actually, every single day I'm speaking to a customer allows me to understand a little bit more about that particular industry and that particular organization as well. Health sciences as well, very, very current. And so, that's what I love about this particular job.
I want to mark on thing. I mean, every word that you have said sort of sounds like a very wise in itself, and that says a lot about you as a professional and as a person, as an individual in a personal context. My last question was, it sort of helps everyone, and it's been long that I haven't asked this to any lawyer, so I want to ask it to you. Being a senior director at Informatica, one of the most renowned organizations around the globe, it requires not just a lot of effort and hard work and smart work, it also requires a lot of time, time investment. So, and you also have to invest the same time in your personal life. How does that management works? How does the time management works for you?
Excuse me. I think having a dedicated and a very professional team, excuse me, it goes a long way actually. And there's not a day that I don't am not grateful for having such a wonderful team. And similarly, the way that we are structured, my team, is that we handle the matters on a regional basis as opposed to just for a particular country as well. By having that experience, then it allows us to enjoy our time off whenever we do need to take R&R, and we can trust in our team members to continue the good work that has already been done to actually see a successful end as well. So yeah, that's really how the key to our success and my success, and how I'm actually supported by a terrific team as well.
Yeah, Mr. Wong. I mean, I am again sort of a bit unhappy that we are short on time, but I mean, I would request again, I will ask my team again to connect with you and sort of to sit with you and plan another session like this so that we can learn more about the international legal industry, and of course, the new updates in you. So, hope you
I would
like
love
this
to.
session. We would love to actually, Mr. Wong, and to formally sort of acknowledge this, I would like to thank you for sharing such great insights with us, not just about your journey, but about the legal fraternity as a whole as well. And we look forward to having a great chat with you again in the future on some other trending topics in the legal industry. So thank you, Amit, for joining us today.
Thank you, Sagar, for having me, and it's been a pleasure as well.
That's all mine, sir. Thank you very much. And for our viewers, if you like this chat with Mr. Anthony Wong, I want you to, if you like the chat and the picture on their wall just behind him, I want you to like this video, to share this video, and click on that red button, subscribe to Click Away Creators YouTube channel to appreciate what we do. And you have more coming in from legal industry leaders like Mr. Anthony Wong. This was Sagar for Let's Talk World, signing off.